Oh, Canada. Just when we thought we were turning a page when it came to our country's soccer program, reality comes to slap us right in the face, kick us when we're down, spit on us, and even stomp on us a little bit. But that's okay. We move on here in Canada. I'm Andrew Milani, and I'm joined here by the wonderful crews on a new episode of The House That Happens. We'll also get into baseball's trade deadline, running backs in the NFL, and a little bit of hockey because, this is Toronto. Cruz, how you doing?
Very, very good. It's been a pretty good week leading into this long weekend because we should let everybody know that we are recording on the Monday of the long weekend, correct?
That is correct.
And I hope everybody's had a fabulous, outrageous, catalysmic weekend. And I don't know what you call today's holiday. However,
civic holiday.
It's a civic holiday, but it was originally named Simcoe Day. Did you know that?
I did.
Okay, and they still call it Simcoe Day. So I think it's very, very important for people to learn a little history that don't know about this. Especially me. I'm African-Canadian of Caucasian mix mongrel who was born in Nova Scotia. And if you anything know about that, that was the end of the Underground Railroad. So what people don't know about Lord Simcoe, and I think that every rapper, every Black Lives Matter person, anybody that has any problems with race, which we're going to try not to bring up in this show, doesn't know, is that Lord Simcoe came to North America. He almost shot George Washington, by the way, in a battle before World War II, the Civil War, which a lot of people didn't know, American
Revolutionary
War.
War, you mean?
Yeah, okay. And he seen what was going on with the slave trade in America, and he went back home to England, and England became the first country to abolish slavery.
Wow.
In the world. So whenever you want to talk about on this holiday, I would like to think of it as Lord Simcoe Day and appreciate the fact that a man of his stature was able to go home, see the inhumanity dealing with another race and said, this has got to end. But he is even though we've had slavery in every race and every place around the world, I think he should be given props because of the stigma of slavery in North America. And he was the man that said, no, it's got to stop.
Cheers to Lord Simcoe.
Definitely it is. So, how was your week, Mr. Milani?
Pretty good. I went to a couple birthday celebrations for my buddy Johan. Turned 30. He had a surprise party thrown by his brother on the Wednesday night because his brother couldn't be there for the party yesterday. So he came all the way from Michigan for one night.
God bless Michigan.
Yeah, God bless Michigan to throw him a party for that one night. Johan was super surprised.
Oh, good. Happy birthday, buddy.
And then we had his scheduled birthday party yesterday, a little pool party, which was always nice. Him and his parents always throw for us, so we're
Do you guys know that
thankful.
The 30s is the second part of the waste of your life, right? The 20s are the first, and then the 30s you get a mess, because between 40 and 60, I tell everybody, those are going to be the best years of your life. You don't even know it yet.
Really?
Yes,
okay.
yes. Just keep yourself alive. That's all you got to do.
I'll try. I'll try my best.
That's all you got to do. In any event, when we like to start the show, we do have some serious subject matter we'd like to get to. But at the beginning of the show, we'd like to throw out some things that have gone on in the last week that sometimes irritate or drive me crazy, or things that I could accept, just little antidotes. And I don't know, I'd like to know my partner here, what he has to think about it. But one of the things that's starting to irritate me about sports is playing with traditions. You know what I'm talking about, traditions? One of the traditions is this. Someone brought up the idea that they should change the Ohio State-Michigan game to a different part of the season.
Okay,
it always ends the season. The Big Ten season ends with Ohio State and Michigan, regardless of what their positions are and everything. It's a huge game, just like back in the day when USC always played Notre Dame and that got mixed up, and Michigan played Notre Dame. I'm just pissed that someone would even bring it up. It's not going to happen.
Why would they want to change it, though? That's my question.
It's something about that. What we would do is it would for the playoffs. It has to do with the playoffs. So instead of them waiting to see, because it's always Michigan and the Big Ten's getting bigger. Because it's just going to be...
Yeah, there's that big Pac-12 exodus.
Yeah, so it's going to be three geographical locations, or the Big Five, as they're going to say, is probably going to drop to the Big Three. But why are we playing with traditions in any way? You know what I'm saying? If we have they're not going to change the Masters in the opening ceremonies and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I really get irritated when they come up with saying something like, let's change the Michigan Ohio State game. I jumped out of my couch and
I don't think they're going to do it.
I don't think they're just to bring it up is freaking absolutely ridiculous. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for change for a purpose, but change for the sake of change has never been something that I've been fond of.
It has to do with the TV, I know that, and scheduling and whether or not it's going to make the playoffs more, because then it would be more valuable. They said if Michigan and Ohio State already decide who beat who, it would be better for the rankings to go down afterwards. I'm saying that's just a bunch of people that are into analytics. Okay, so no, you're going to keep it there.
That sounds like a gambling thing to me. People just want to make sure their bets are more safe.
Maybe that's what it is, too. We can't forget the two things. Analytics and gambling are now just screwing everything up I grew up and loved.
And they're screwing each other, too. So.
Oh, at the same time. And thinking of screwing things up, I heard something else this week, Andrew, that I just absolutely lost my shit on. I think I told you this. Some moron in the world of professional golf has brought up the proposition that perhaps maybe the pros could play with a flight-restricted golf ball.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh. I'm wondering if I'm going to hear a dumber thing this week. This is not softball on a Tuesday night when you're playing with your girlfriend. You know you'll get her mask on because a line drive might make her lose her teeth. Okay? And the park's got a little smaller. And I don't say, you know what it is? If technology's gotten good enough that you can hit the ball from, Minnesota to Milton, more power to you. Don't you agree?
I agree.
You know what I mean? So that's another thing that came up this week. And I thought to myself, what more can you alter? But this is golf. A restricted golf ball?
Professional golf, too.
Professional golf is what I'm hearing. However, that being said, Tiger Woods has now been moved into the...
Seniors Tour?
No.
Oh.
He's now on the board of directors, so he's got the leash of the... what's his name? Finahan, I think I named the PGA Tour guy. What's the president of the PGA Tour? Anyways, they say Tiger's now got him on a leash. I don't know if that's true, so that's down the road.
It might be.
Okay, another thing that that came up this week, and I don't know what your opinion is on it, but I really thought that it showed me the character of this guy because I haven't been his best fan or anything. But what do you think of Sean Payton?
Sean Payton?
The coach of the Denver Broncos.
I've never been a huge fan of his. I mean, Bountygate certainly was a little bit of a stain on him.
Okay, and he only won one Super Bowl, and he had Drew Brees.
I mean, one Super Bowl is still...
one Super Bowl is one Super Bowl, and I think he's only had 2 losing records.
I think I know where you're going with this, but the comments to the former coach in Denver.
Oh, come on, buddy. Okay, Nathaniel Hackett. Aaron Rodgers, or should I say, as Mrs. Milani would say, Aaron Frogers,
yes.
is his best friend, and he's gone back to the Jets, and he's going to be the offensive coordinator who is extremely successful with Rodgers in Green Bay. Mm-hmm. So, and we've said in this show and previous episodes that some people will turn out to be coordinators and some people will turn out to be head coaches.
Same way in the NHL. Some guys, they're great assistant coaches. They're just not made to be a good head coach. Okay. Which isn't a bad thing.
No, not at all, especially if you are an expert in your field.
Yep.
So, my take it on this. Sean Payton left New Orleans because he thought he was going to get the Dallas job. It didn't work out that way.
That is 100% true.
Okay, now, I would say this. If Dallas had lost, did they lose the first playoff game? No, they won the playoff game, then they lost.
Yeah.
Okay, if they had lost that first playoff game, I do believe that Sean Payton would now be the coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
I do believe that. I think that Jerry Jones' sons at least, like especially Steve, tug on dad, say don't jump too much. Okay? You know what I mean? But now that he's in Denver, let's tell the truth. What is he doing really by trashing Nathaniel Hackett? Is there a code? Is there not a code? I want to go to the Tony Kornheiser School of Thought, and I'm hoping someday somebody can play this for Mr. Kornheiser because, Tony, I love you to death. Love to do a round of golf, have dinner, whatever. As he says, come on, this is covering up for Russell Wilson.
I think this is
100%. And I'm glad that when you watch a sports show that someone just doesn't, that's why PTI is such a great show. Why cut to the chase? Here's why you did it, buddy.
Yep.
You tried to humiliate another man to pull the socks
someone
up
in the coaching fraternity, too.
And somebody in the coaching fraternity. You know what I mean? Like, I thought,
you think you'd hear a player ever say that about another player? Like, oh, he did shit here last year? Like, no way.
Oh, you know what?
And then he'd be thrown to the curb by the other players for doing that, too.
Of course he would, or there'd be a fight like in the Cleveland-Texas game a couple days ago, whatever the case may be. Like, once these people start yapping, there's going to be swinging. You know what I mean? And Tim Anderson, keep your hands up next time. But in any event, I'm not impressed with Sean Payton. I've never been a Denver Bronco fan. And if you don't think this guy has an ego, you should have heard him on TV last year. And, oh, by the way, as he got to Denver, who was made to exit?
Oh, yes, Nathaniel Hackett.
No.
Oh.
Elway.
Oh, that's correct. Yes.
Yes. Sean Payton came in one door.
Elway
What does that tell you? You can't have two roosters in the hen house, correct?
Sure. I mean, I don't think Elway was the greatest manager, executive, anyways, in football. He'd made some good moves. He'd made a lot of stinkers as well.
Oh, he made a few. Bottom line is he went to 2 Super Bowls and he won one.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. He's ironically, like, he was good at assembling a defense. It was the offensive part, especially finding a quarterback that became a nightmare.
Don't you think that's oxymoronic though?
Of course it is. But he said, like, his perspective was that, like, he knew how to build a defense because he just built, like, all the things that he wouldn't want to see as a quarterback. So he was able to, like, reverse engineer it. Meanwhile, when you're, like, that offensive, like, genius, whatever, it may be hard to, like, relay a lot of that to other people. So I kind of understand where he's coming from there.
Agreed. But I thought it was interesting, and I'm glad you talked about the reverse engineering because I've always thought that. I never put it in that perspective. I've learned something new today. Is that right? Denver always had a good D the whole time.
Arguably great defenses.
Top 10 to top 5.
Every year.
Every year that Elway was the general manager. Which you're saying, like, because being a quarterback, but that's true too. Because like you say, you're going to end up, what you don't want to see. What can you attack?
Yeah.
What can you do? How do I defend it? So on that thing, but anyway, that's not what the issue is, and I'm glad Elway did that. I was just saying that I think that Sean Payton is an egotistical maniac, and he's dealing with a bitch diva named Russell Wilson, and if the whole thing collapses, that's great, because I hated the Orange Crush, and the only time I cheered for the Dallas Cowboys is when they crushed Denver in the 70s over the famous Craig Morton, Roger Staubach start. You don't know that history.
I don't.
Okay, in any event, Denver got it. They got sodomized, and I loved it.
I didn't even know they played each other. That was in a Super Bowl? Or?
In a Super Bowl.
I didn't even know they played each other in the Super Bowl.
Yes, they did. And once upon a time, Tom Landry, before he was great, did the stupidest thing ever in sports, and he used to rotate his quarterbacks during the series.
In game?
In game.
Wow. That's absurd.
Is it not? This is Tom Landry.
I know. Tom Landry.
The Tom Landry. You ever get to see the documentary and get back on it? Anyways, it was between Craig Morton and Roger Staubach. Roger Staubach arguably top.
The Morton name rings a bell, so I think I might have heard this before.
And anyways, they went at it. And anyway, Staubach had to wait because he went to Navy.
Yeah.
So people don't realize this, but Roger Staubach went to Vietnam. Even though he was in a safe place. Yeah, he was in Vietnam. He did 2 tours of Vietnam because when you play in the Navy and you get it, remember David Robinson in basketball? Well, I didn't play. You have to do your time in the thing. So by the time he came to camp, Craig Morton was making noise about this is the chance that that we could do something, okay? And Morton was the starter. Staubach was coming in. And Landry didn't know wasn't sure. Like, this is one of the only time, this is the only blemish probably on Landry's career, except for losing to Baltimore a little bit earlier, not knowing, like, I guess you figured out as your coach. Sure. In any event, Staubach and Morton were the same thing. Finally, the players pulled Landry aside and said, hey, man, got to go with one guy. Roger the Dodger looks good. They went on to win the Super Bowl. A couple of years later, they need 2 quarterbacks. Denver picks up Morton. Next thing you know, in the Super Bowl, who is the starting quarterback? Roger Staubach against Craig Morton.
Funny how it works that way.
Oh, it was just great. And I never liked Morton. I never liked Denver, the Orange Crush, all that bullshit. And what ended up happening is they got killed. Dallas killed them.
Oh, sure. I'm trying to think of what's like the closest comparison to like another sport where like a player giving up on a guy and then running into them in the championship. Like,
that'd be an interesting.
The only one I could think of is like Edmonton trading Andy Moog and then running into him in the finals like, with
interesting.
Boston. Yeah. That's the only one that really comes to mind. But
can I just throw?
And I guess it worked the reverse because Boston traded Bill Ranford to Edmonton. He was playoff MVP when they beat them in 1990. So
okay, anybody, did you just hear that? By the time that Mr. Merlani gets to my age, he will be an encyclopedia of ridiculous trivia that you can never imagine. I thought I know a little bit. That's great comeback, buddy. That very good. Okay, so I'm going to keep on.
Well, that wasn't a comeback. That's just
just a good thing. Okay. One of the things I was going to say that I don't know how to approach this one, and maybe you can help me out as a libertarian.
Okay, I'll help you out.
Okay,
as a libertarian.
When I hire someone tomorrow for my team,
okay,
do I have to announce what their race or what their gender is?
I don't think so.
Then why are we keep doing it? The other day, I'm not going to say who. I'm not going to say nothing. I'm just looked up.
Is this sports related? Or?
Yes, 100% sports related.
Then you have to name names.
No, I'm not going to say nothing because I don't want to verify. Okay, I'm going to tell you, find it out. You go research this. Anybody find out? There's a new coach in the NFL. He's is a coordinator or a QB coach, and he just announced that he's gay. And everyone's going, isn't this great
I've
that
heard
he's
about
gay?
this.
Okay,
Yeah.
so my question is, how do we normalize this if not every time we get up there we got to announce the guy? Oh, he's Cherokee Indian from frickin' Montana. He's the great-great-great-grandfather of Cochise. Mm-hmm. Come on, stop it. You know what I mean? If I get a job tomorrow, what are they going to say? Oh, that's the Cruz from Scotia, Underground Railroad descendant? Stop it. If we're going to make it normal, right? Don't you agree with me? And oh, by the way, us at the house that happens, that's why I meant this.
I'll let you finish, but I got a take on this.
Okay, good. Anyways, that's why I'm bringing it up. I knew you'd have a take. And I like your thinking about that, the clashes here, because I think you're going to take me down a good road on this. My purpose is this. Let's get back to the equality thing. Mm-hmm. I'm always about equal. So if everyone's going to be equal, how do we got to treat them equal? They don't say, hey, the white guy from Etobicoke just got a coach on the Blue Jays, do they?
No, but okay, this isn't exactly about race, though. Sexuality, like especially like homosexuality in sports, we've gotten into this. There's a lot of pressure there for people that are, that are like, let's say, gay in the closet, whatever, not exactly out with it.
Okay.
To come out and kind of normalize it. So I don't know. I just think, there's some other factors coming into play with this one. Like, I mean, and like, I think there's probably an area too, like where I don't know, because there are players there in the closet, and there just law of averages.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
I just think
it's a tough subject.
It is a tough subject.
Yes, it is.
I don't really like take issue with it because it's not like something like your race, your gender, where you can kind of like clearly see it, right? It's another aspect where we're talking about something that you can't keep hidden. It's something that people want to normalize, which is a tough subject, especially in male sports, which can be very homophobic. So I don't have a problem with them announcing, like saying that he's gay or whatever, just trying to normalize it. Because I think that a lot of that needs to happen in sports where this does become normalized, where there's a lot less of this, homophobic rhetoric thrown around,
I agree with you, because then that's what ends up happening is like we had the issue now with the NHL saying we're not going to have any more promo nights. Which I think is now that's a step backward instead of taking a step forward. But at the same time, okay, we just had look at all the cultural events we just have in Toronto. We have a caravana this weekend.
This weekend, yeah.
Huge shout out to all of those people. I'm glad there was less violence than usual, which is great because we don't want to have any more stigmatization on certain events. But my take on it is this, okay? I come from a mixed racial family. There was actually some people in my family that happen to be homosexual. This is normal for me.
Yeah.
I think it's maybe just because the way I was brought up, or the circumstances within my family, that you knew certain things all the time, but it was accepted because they were still good people.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything. They were contributing. They were doing all the things they were supposed to. So I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I just get a little bit like, I want to know before I die, when does it get normal?
Yeah, I'd like to know that too. I hope we do get to a place where it becomes
because I'm very happy the guy got the job, and I think that he got his job on his credentials. Yeah. That's what I'm getting at. So I'm just saying out there's gay people that can split the atom. There's black people that can split the atom. There's women that can split the atom. Yep. That's what I'm getting at, and I'm hoping that someday that the guy can get on there, and we find about it later. Like, can I give my classic example? I watch Around the Horn, and I always watch the basketball things on, and I really like Israel Gutierrez.
Yep.
I don't know when I found out he was gay. I don't care that he's gay. I like the guy. He's great. And when he threw it on his show one day, it kind of taken me aback how he said something blatantly about his sexuality that was so smooth on his take that I go, that's normal.
Yep.
Israel, you're just making it normal. I want to have a huge shout out to Israel Gutierrez because his statement made it normal.
Yeah.
And he's an openly gay man on TV every day talking sports. And he's a sideline reporter, and some say the most macho of sports, which is the NBA. Yeah. And the reason around the league is they say 3% of the men in the NBA are gay. Just like you said, the numbers, even though they're probably in the closet. But anyways,
exactly.
Don't want to take too long on this issue. I'm glad we got to bring it up because here at the house that happens, man, we're all equal all the time.
Yep.
All the time. We love everybody. Now
we're homies with the homos here on
we're homies. I love that. Thank you very much. I want to bring up two other little interesting things that came up this week. One of them was, I don't know if you know this, but the Inside the Park home run is very Hard to come by, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Okay, so 50 years ago, was it 50 years ago I heard this? And I thought, here's the punchline. I'll make it really quick because it's funny. I don't even know who Dick Allen is.
No.
Look up Dick Allen. He was a baseball character. He won the home run title hitting 32 when the hitting was so bad. He was around with that. He hit 32 home runs and won the bat. Okay. I'm not saying that Dick Allen had an attitude. I'm saying that he had a supersized attitude. He was a brother. Okay. Anyways, he hit 2 inside the park home runs. And the guy that in the game, which has happened one more time, but here's a coincidence. You know who Bert Blyleven is?
No, I don't.
He's one of the greatest left-handed pitchers in baseball.
Okay.
Look him up. He's just a great. He's in the Hall of Fame. Great pitcher. Had the hook from hell. You didn't see it coming. Your knees buckled. You went to the thing. Any event, he hit 2 home runs, inside the park home runs, and Bert Blyleven was on the mound. Okay.
Okay.
The next guy to hit 2 inside the park home runs was a guy named Greg Gagne, who was a serviceable player on the level of, say, Rance Mullenix, Ed Sprague.
Okay.
That type of player. He hit 2 inside the park home runs 13 years later for a win for Bert Blyleven. Isn't that weird?
That is weird.
I had to bring it up because I just said, what? So here you are.
What are the chances?
What are the chances of, like, you're in the game where you lose because there's 2 inside the park home runs. 15 years later, you win a game because a guy hits 2 inside the park. That's just, isn't that
serendipitous?
Yes, isn't it? I mean, I had to bring that up because it's just one of those weird sports anecdotes. When I heard it, I went,
That's a cool story.
Isn't it not, though? I just went, damn. That's just freaking really, really, really weird. Okay. One more thing I wanted to bring up about Carl Lloyd, but I can't forget where I was going with that. But I think it would be remiss is because we're going to bring up soccer lately. What about the Messi magic? Am I surprising you bringing that one up? I'm not a soccer guy. Have you seen? I had to bring it. I caught you off guard, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
There you go. What about the Messi? Me, Cruz, who knows? My dog is learning. My dog, Stanley, is almost caught up to me in his soccer knowledge, okay?
He's getting good.
He's getting real good. But what do you think about the Messi magic?
I mean, it's as advertised. What else can you say?
Oh, my God. Listen, we've discussed this because I don't want to say why, but anyways. I'm not going to say where you live. None of that stuff. You're a soccer guy. I'm not.
You could say where I live.
Okay. Anyways, I am not. But I do pay attention on the level of competition because that's what we do at the House That Happens. Yep. We want the level of competition. And this Messi thing has blown me away. Okay, not only that, let's take a trail here now. Let's go all the way back to when they tried to get soccer in the 70s. Who did they bring in? Pele and Chichinglia, or whatever his name is. And Beckenbauer, I forgot about him.
Yes, he came to New York Cosmos, too.
Yeah, remember Beckenbauer, great soccer player who did he win a World Cup?
Yes, he did. 1974.
Or 74, yeah.
No, 74.
Anyway, another great soccer player. Nothing moved. Beckham has come. That guy that went to L.A. who was hilarious all the time. He was good. Nobody has moved a needle in the MLS like Messi. Agreed?
Oh, no comparison.
Okay,
no comparison.
What do you think Ronaldo's saying in Saudi Arabia right now on Sky TV?
Oh, I know what he's saying. They're the best league in the world.
Ronaldo, you went there because guess what? You're a schmuck anyway. I always liked Messi better than Ronaldo. And
you made that clear throughout these shows.
Thank you very much. But anyways, I think that this is amazing that this guy, okay, let's get something straight. He's not exactly in his prime, but he's what, 33?
Yeah, I would say he's just past his prime.
Just past his prime.
Just past. He's still got like a lot of good football left to play, though.
Oh, definitely. And I don't think we've ever had a player of this caliber come to the MLS at this time. Beckham came way later.
Yeah, Beckham was at the tail end.
At the tail end. But what I'm saying is moving the needle. Remember one of his deals was with Apple?
Yep.
Guess what? Subscriptions are going up.
Yeah, you don't say.
Yeah, like they were talking about the other day on one show, and I think, again, my good friend, Mr. Kornheiser, who is about as soccer-oriented as I am.
Maybe less so.
And said it. When he went, damn, what's going on with his Messi stuff? I was thinking that anyway, but I'm watching PTI, which I'll reference any chance I get. And here's the guy I've been watching forever who dismisses soccer like he does napkins at a good restaurant. And he goes, this Messi magic. That's where I got it from. He goes, this Messi magic. I went, what? But I mean, look at the attendance. Is Inter Miami got a trip to Toronto before the season's out?
Oh, I have no. They're knocking on the door of TFC though. They're gonna pass them like any day now here.
I'm not want to bring that up because I'm gonna get to TFC momentarily. However,
I just want to say with this Messi stuff, I hate to say it, but I told you so.
Yes, you did, and I didn't believe you. I didn't believe it.
Up until a couple weeks ago, you didn't believe me.
And I'm still saying I don't know. Is it going to be like because it's so new? I want to see when they get down to the championships and when all that stuff's going on, when the competition's new. It's like a new girlfriend.
Just wait till it's a full season of Messi next year.
Okay, then we're going to see it's like a new girlfriend. She's the greatest in the first.
Oh, that was more like Insigne and Bernadeschi with the TFC last summer.
That's rude. Oh, by the way, TFC, you now become the laughingstock of North America and franchises going spending money. You're right up there with the New York Mets.
I knew you were going there.
Right up there with the New York Mets, who we're going to get to a little later in the show.
Oh, yes. Okay. Anything else for housekeeping before we get to the Women's World Cup?
I've got one more thing, but if you want to have anything you want to bring to me, because I seem to be dominating this thing, and you're going to love my last one because I'm losing my shit on this one. And tell everybody what I'm wearing today as a prelude.
Okay, you're wearing your black Detroit Lions jersey, number 9, Drew Stafford.
Matt.
Matt Stafford. Yes, what am I saying?
Okay, it's all good. We'll give you that. If anyone, because I got one more thing to bring up before we go on. Anything you want to?
I was going to say, shout out to the Toronto Argonauts.
Oh,
Toronto's
yes,
best
good.
Team. They
good.
unfortunately got their first loss of the season on Friday night against the Calgary Stampeders. 20-7 loss at McMahon Stadium.
Losing at McMahon Stadium is no. What would you say? That's not a fall down.
No, absolutely
Calgary,
not.
No matter what Calgary's record is, when they play at McMahon Stadium, they show up.
And I mean, Toronto's still going to run away with this Eastern Division. Either way,
I still want them to win the championship. Still,
they're going to have a good shot.
Oh, and Kelly playing quarterback. I'm not saying he had a bad game the other night. Oh, I did watch some of it. He missed a couple guys, but this guy's going to lead him back.
Yeah,
he'll be a back. And you know what's going to happen to him? He's going to get a sniff in NFL camp again. I really believe that.
I believe that
because he was an SEC quarterback. He had some player issues. Speaking of player issues, big shout out to Johnny Manziel. Hope he's feeling better. You heard about Johnny Manziel, right?
No, what happened?
His parents pulled him aside. He was thinking of suicide.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So he's been diagnosed as bipolar. He said, "Good luck, Johnny Manziel."
Yeah.
At the house that happens. We respect things like that. Don't worry about anything else. Your health, your family comes first.
Yeah, health always comes first. Health and family.
Okay. Can I have one last kitchen cleanup? Even though we've taken almost a half an hour to deal with these, I think it's going to be fun when you listen back to this. I'm going to tell you why the world's so goddamn soft. I'm going to tell you why the world is a loser. You guys piss me off. My good friend, Mr. Dan Campbell, he's not my good friend, but I want him to be the coach of the Detroit Lions. All he wanted to do was bring a live lion down on the field, and they said no. Why not? We're the Detroit Lions. They bring one of those bulldogs at Georgia, don't they? They bring one of those they bring the Sooner around the field, don't they? What else do they bring out? Didn't they bring out Auburn Tigers? They brought out a tiger one year.
What year was that?
That doesn't matter. I don't care. Your world has gotten too soft. We're the Detroit Lions. And you know what? My feet are getting sore. You know what? Stomping you people trying to get on the bandwagon. You know what? When you're a disciple of the Detroit Lions and people, Cruz, I'm walking in people. I went in the beer store there and go, there's Mr. Lion. And I turned around and said, you better respect that. And if you're trying to get on the bandwagon, I'm stomping on your feet. Okay? I'm taking this seriously now since I've been started.
Let's back up just about 10,000 steps there.
Please.
So first of all,
this ain't funny.
No, this is hilarious, actually. Dan Campbell wants to bring a live lion onto the sideline of the Detroit Lions.
Because the lion will chew your kneecaps off, okay?
If this is not just like the embodiment of Dan Campbell, then I don't know what is.
I love this guy.
Oh, man. First of all, kudos for the idea. I can completely see why the Lions do
We'll have Tyson bring it on like in Hangover.
Oh, no.
We'll have Tyson hold Tyson around on the leash in a Lions jersey.
Not even in a cage
Alex
on a
Karras,
leash.
Or maybe, can you imagine Mike Tyson in a Billy Sims jersey on the sideline holding the leash of the Lions as we win in overtime? I want to be in Ford Field at that moment.
The logistics of bringing a lion into the stadium.
Okay,
I don't even want to think about that.
Can I tell you something that I'm telling why everyone should never be afraid? Back in the day, when I was young, I used to have to pay child support.
Yes.
So I had 2 jobs. One of them was a DJ. Sometimes my DJ career ended me up in urban ballet palaces. Okay? Because you had to make money, right? At the time, there was a young lady by the name of Jana Jones, and part of her show was a tiger. I'm talking a Bengal tiger. So when I got in there, part of my show, and I got extra money for this, is I had to sit across the stage, and when she gave it a signal, because it came over and they put something on me so the tiger could smell me or whatever, and during her show, when she rode around on the tiger, she'd get off the tiger and she'd make this command. The tiger came over, put his paws on my legs. Now let me tell you this. Once that tiger put his paws on my legs didn't move.
Yeah, no shit.
And then the tiger smiled, opened his mouth, and whipped out his tongue. If this tiger decided to take a bite, I was dead.
And you want something like this on the sideline.
Because he's well trained. He never hurt me. I was scared. I did it twice.
Accidents happen, Cruz.
Okay,
you never watched Tiger King, did you?
No, but I seen Siegfried and Freud.
There you go.
But I heard he was having a heart attack and the lion tried to save him. I'm saying I did it twice. The first time I was nervous, the second time I was not. But do you know how big a tiger's head is? When a tiger has... the first thing I noticed about his head, but you know what I really noticed is? The size of the tiger's paws. Like he came right up and he put his paws.
They're like this.
Yes.
They're like
he
this.
put his paws on my thighs like this and looked up and opened his mouth and whipped out his tongue and did something else and he walked back to the girl.
Yeah.
So Dan Campbell, I think it was the most excellent idea for you to try to get a live lion on the field. I think the rest of the world has gotten too soft. And now, could I say it one more time? Tony,
you say that up until there's like deaths and accidents caused by this lion.
Hey, wait a second. Okay, wait a second. The only guy I'm disagreeing
a PR
with
nightmare.
is my guy. You know who didn't want to do this? Tony Kornheiser told me it was nuts. I said, Tony, I can't agree with you all the time. Love you to death. Not on this one. I want my lion on the side of the field. And I'm not watching Lion King because I don't like hyenas anyway.
Not even the animated one, like the '90s one. That movie's great.
That's
good.
It's
a classic.
In any event, I think we should get to the meat of the show. That was a lot of fun doing the house cleaning.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Women's World Cup. Canada, unfortunately, was not able to make it past the group stage. They drew their first game against Nigeria, which we got to. They won their second game against Republic of Ireland 2-1, and then on their third and final match, they lost 4-0 to Australia.
Okay, so let's take a big look at this for a second here, okay?
Yes.
The reason I think it's very, very, very important that we bring this up, because everyone, as we were talking about, I didn't even believe in the Messi thing. I'm not a soccer person or whatever. But, I mean, I believe in when sports becomes when it's on a national level, I first and foremost, let's say one thing. Everybody's equal, okay? This ain't the NHL and the WNBA or whatever. This is your national team. You're putting a maple leaf on the front of your jersey. So first and foremost, everybody's equal. Don't you agree?
Yes.
Doesn't matter. If you are playing for the skeet shooting team or you're playing for Team Canada hockey, I believe we're under the same umbrella, because what that boils down to is I think you're going to work tomorrow, aren't you?
I will.
And so will I. And I bet you they're going to take a bunch of money off your paycheck called income tax, right?
Yes.
And I think they're going to take some of that taxes, and what are they going to support? Our national teams.
Yes.
So,
Sporting Canada.
Which is great.
Yes.
Which is great because it gives a sense of national pride. I think we should bring our programs up. But it cannot be, one of the failures is this, and I hate to say this because we're going to have this as a statistic for Team Canada. No team has won the Olympics and then lost in the group round in the World Cup. In men or women's soccer, this has never happened before. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I mean, I was kind of going through the reasons in prep for the show why Canada kind of went out the way they did with a whimper rather than a bang. And I mean, let's be real. This all starts at the top. The
organization.
Canada,
Okay. So my thing is, I'm going to let you go on, but here's a phrase I've been working on all week. Has the gold medal win at the Olympics tarnished the Canadian program?
Has the medal tarnished the Canadian program?
Go ahead with I'm going to tell you why I think it is.
You think it has tarnished it?
A bit, yeah.
Okay.
But go ahead.
Well, I mean, the big thing is that, they weren't able to schedule competitive games for, the last, they haven't played a real competitive game since, April before the lead up to this tournament, which is completely...
insane.
And it's just not ever been done before. Where usually, you have, 3 exhibition matches before going to a World Cup, and usually you have, a home match too where your fans can kind of send you off. None of that happened this time. Big red flag.
Huge.
And that aspect was really underreported coming into the tournament.
I think that another thing that we alluded to on one of our shows is that the organizational problems with the financial situation was very, very cloudy.
Huge.
Okay, so now what we have decided to do here in the House That Happens is we both took a look at what was going on in this, and we had a series of names. Like we could name who the president of the national Canadian National Soccer League. We can name the assistant. We can name the agents. We can name who are people here now. But the problem is, where the issues came to matter, all of those people are now gone.
Yeah, it was the previous regime.
The previous regime's gone. So it's hard to bring up people's names and about issues that are happening with the national team. But here's one of the things that really, really irked me about this. If we didn't take the money, if we didn't have the money, because part of the reason you said we didn't have these teams, for example, if you want to play Portugal in Canada as a friendly, you have to pay for that team to come here. You have to do their thing, okay? And I think that's cool because another country may pay Canada to go there.
Sure.
To go and play there. If we didn't have my taxpayers' dollars, have enough taxpayers' dollars to pay for a team to come to Canada so we can have a great exhibition game before we went to the World Cup, that's massive failure, bro.
Huge.
Massive failure. You know what I mean? Which is now we should go take a look at the organization and say, what is going on here? Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Another thing that's happened, we had this issue about player representatives. I want to get it straight because I really don't understand, and maybe you can fill me in here. Because remember, about 45 days before the World Cup, we didn't have our qualifications in with FIFA yet.
Yes.
Remember, we went right to the deadline, and if we didn't have our qualifications in, we weren't even going to be eligible to go. We were going to lose our
spot.
Our spot in the World Cup. How did that happen? Like, what were we doing? Like, we qualified for the World Cup, and now we're getting 45 days ago. It's like Formula One where you didn't have the right wing on your car, or you put something in that you need to change going into the race. That's nuts.
This from the outside, this looks like scummy negotiating from Soccer Canada.
Next level. Now, here's the part that really blows my mind. Again, I don't want to bring up names because I really believe that I thought when we won the gold medal at the Olympics that these girls had reason to scream because the Canadian men's team has done nothing since I didn't have hair on my testicles, okay? And now that they've gotten this far, I really believe this. Once you got some cachet, you shout a little bit longer. So I'm saying that the leaders of the team, and I'll only bring up her name because she's been around long enough, and I'm going to say I hope that she's not a part of the problem now, is people like Christine Sinclair started yelling about the irregularities, the disparities, and the iniquities that are going on with the organization that's running the national teams.
And I think a lot of this I think a lot of this starts back in, oh boy, what was this, 2019? When John Herdman got snatched away from the women's program to run the men's program.
Exactly.
That whole thing was very shady, the way how it went down.
Exactly.
Where, like, none of the players knew about it. They made him keep it secret. It was a bad look for him. Unfortunately, I think he was kind of played into that role.
You think so?
Yeah,
I don't know enough about it, but I remember when the shift came.
That's how it looked on the outside to me, at least.
Okay.
Where like he had like this great relationship with all the players, and all of a sudden is like, kind of like had to step aside. I think that was kind of Soccer Canada manipulating him a little bit. That's how it looked like on the outside, at least. You know, so
I'm hearing it because with that manipulation, here's the people, everybody in Canada that's listening to this show. This is when we got to start talking about it because money changes everything. Mm-hmm. Bottom line, you want to find out the problems, chase the money.
Follow the money.
Anything in life, follow the money. So they made an interim deal. What was it? 48 hours when they had to present all their credentials to FIFA World Cup Association. Canada suddenly made a deal. They're going to go, but here is the problem with the deal. No details were released. This is the third time, like you were talking about with that coach.
Yeah.
And I forget the other deal, but it's 3 deals in a row that affected Soccer Canada nationally that no details were released to the press.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Something stinks. That's why.
Scummy manipulation?
Yeah. I mean, Soccer Canada has been like this since, I can remember. Like, you hear it all the time growing up in Woodbridge where, like, there's a lot of great soccer talent there. Always passed up on. No one ever scouted there. Why is that? Why is that?
I'm not going to go there yet because I'm going to tell you.
My buddy Dom, he was a fantastic prospect in high school. Was great up until like his mid-20s. And not to say he's not a fantastic athlete now. He still is. But, like, I mean, in his mid-20s, was still looking fantastic. And people be like, why didn't he get scouted? Why didn't he get scouted? You know?
Okay, so
Sorry to put you on the spot there, Dom. I know you listen to the show, but...
Oh, great, Guy. I wish you had made it, because here's the next step that I'm just going to say there, and that's why I brought up Miss Christine Sinclair's name. When this contract or this interim deal went on, there was also a question about the roster. Who was going to play on this roster? Now, what happened with it, which I didn't really realize, so look at number, and we're going to bring up the girls' names in the next competition. We love you all, girls, but we don't want to point fingers at any of us, because I'm not exactly accurate, and I don't want to say something to insult anybody. But there was definitely a changing of the guard that didn't change the guard.
100%.
Okay, so
100%.
So maybe some. Now, what I'm saying is, you had an interim deal and nobody knows anything about it. No one knows what's going on. Did they play those senior players? Those senior players said, we want a chance to be there because they want to play again next year in the World Cup or in the Olympics, because we're automatically in the Olympics because we're defending champions.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've already qualified for the Olympics. Did something go on that maybe? You know what happens in dressing rooms if they're not together, that will show up on the field. Now,
Winnipeg Jets.
Oh, there you go. So I don't want to say this, because now I don't want to make excuses for the women's national team, because they're still a good team, and I think if they make a great showing next year in the Olympics, don't be surprised. What I have to do is, like, did some people get more money than other people?
I wouldn't be shocked.
Okay, so then what about the equality? And we got back to what we were saying. If you play on the women's national team, you get 50 cents in an order of fries. Everybody should get the same. Did they give money to those older players to keep them quiet so that they could get on to going to the World Cup, not respecting the new guard of kids that are going to be coming in? This is strictly speculation by iCruise. That's my take on it, that something went wrong because they didn't play cohesively on the field. So if you didn't play cohesively they had a good game against Nigeria at the end. They really put pressure on.
But he still didn't score a goal. Canada's that team, like, they want to be on the board with, like, 2-3 goals.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Okay. So did you think they had a lack of cohesiveness on the field?
100%.
So
they really had, especially that Nigeria game. That was the one I watched the closest. Just had a lot of trouble. I mean, I'll give Nigeria credit. They played a real tough, structured defensive game.
And they just, on there, almost went to it again.
And they just held that wall down.
Yes, okay, I agree. Now, if that went on, if there's no cohesion in the dressing room, there's no cohesion on the field.
Absolutely.
So what we're going to do is we're going to continue to follow up with everything Soccer Canada that I can find in the next month or so, because it's really intrigued me that I'm always about the top level competition. Every time we talk about what's happening, what am I talking about? We're here for the top level of competition. Do you realize this? Everybody that made it to the World Cup got $1.5 million.
Yeah.
That is supposed to go to what? Directly to that team. That doesn't go to Soccer Canada. Okay, that doesn't go to the men's team, which I think that the girls should get equal to the men. We've already decided that. Okay. Now, because of your lack of cohesion and you missed one round, you know what the next money is?
What?
Almost $2 million. So, which we expected. We were expected to be, what was it? Quarterfinals is what we were predicting. Okay, top 8. We're supposed to be top 8. If you made top 8, do you know you were getting about $5 million? So if money for the team. So if you were an issue, if money was an issue for Soccer Canada going into the tournament, how ignorant can they believe not to dress the best team to get some money that was in their hands to bring back home?
Yeah, if that is the case, that's absurd.
Isn't it? That's what I'm saying.
Especially with talk going into the tournament about, like, I know Christine Sinclair's spot on the team was kind of not exactly being questioned, but kind of like, you know, she doesn't have the legs like she used to. She can't exactly play that same role like she used to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I bet you she got the most money.
Guaranteed.
Okay, and you know, we're speculating here at the house that happens, but doesn't it make you think when all this has gone on, and look at it, it was about a money issue, and look at how much money we left on the table. Do you know Argentina is like, but here's the thing you got to say is different though. They're on an international level, which may seem hypocritical, but the women's national team, I believe here, I've got it down here. Do you know that Argentina got $52 million for winning the World Cup, right?
Okay. Oh, the men's, yes.
The men's got. Okay. If you finished 17 through 32, you would have got $9 million. Okay, and look at the Canadian men also had a labor dispute. So something's going. Yeah, back in the day, but they're on there, but they were questioning what it is. But anyways, they get the women will never get what the men get on an international level because it's the same reason the WNBA players don't get the same contract as NBA players. So we're not going to beat that dead horse. No. Okay, but what I am saying is that if you have an organization that's already having a labor dispute, can't figure out what to do with the money. You change your organizational structure because you find that there's some irregularities going on in it. You bring in a bunch of new people and then fail in the first round of the World Cup, leaving that much money on the table because your original problem was not enough money? Whew. Colossal.
Yeah. Big F up.
Oh, I think we should be embarrassed, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, and my worry now is, like, can they clean up this mess in time for the Olympics next year?
12 months to do it, baby. But I'm just saying.
But it can be done. It can be done.
Well, I'm hearing we've got some 18 to 21-year-olds that are rockets around the field, and they're not even getting on the field. I heard they were brought along for the experience.
Yeah, for the ride, yeah.
Okay, you know what? In every Canadian sport, when you get brought along for the ride and you don't play them, you lose.
Yeah.
You know? They didn't bring, I don't know, what was the year Mike Liut gave up 7 goals in the Canada Cup in the end. They should have brought Brodeur, should have been a goalie. He was young. He was young at the time. He was too young to play. Or was Patrick, whatever the case may be. But you should always give everybody the opportunity because we're saying it's equal opportunity, isn't it, bro? I'm
just in favor of bringing your best squad available and putting the best players out there because I want to win.
Oh,
I want to win.
Did you hear that? The house that happens likes to win.
Who would have
You know
thought
what
that?
I'm saying? You know, we're here in the game of winning. I never hear you say, hey, man, it's not like Bob Seger's beautiful louvers where he's never had a problem with second best. We do. We don't come here to say, can we come in second? Anyways, you got 12 months, Soccer Canada. Do you think you have the ability to clean this up?
That's the question. I hope so. I hope this new group that's in charge has some solution up their sleeve. I'm a little skeptical at this point, though.
Oh, you're not skeptical? Now that I peeled back the onion, we're going to go through this again. It's just that, like I said, Andrew, we had to think about this seriously. We had a lot of names that we could bring up today, and I just didn't know, being that we're not professionals, or we are professionals, but I'm saying, like, I haven't figured out how we do that in the future. Like when we bring up names, like I only want to bring up a name if it's like John Morant. We saw you on that video with
we can have a conversation off air about this if you like.
Yeah, that's what we in the future we're going to do it. But anyway, good luck to the women's soccer team. We got to point out this too. A lot of the favorites in the World Cup are not around either, so I guess other country may be having problems.
Yeah, so we are going into the round of 16 is finishing up today, and already a lot of big teams already eliminated. The States got eliminated by Sweden in the shootout the other day. England just barely made it past Nigeria in penalties this morning, in fact. Argentina didn't make it. Argentina and Italy didn't make it past the group stage. Brazil didn't make it past the group stage. Portugal didn't make it past the group stage. China, who's supposed to be a pretty good team, didn't make it past the group stage.
Yeah, that caught me off guard, is the China.
Yeah, because that national team is supposed to be a power, but
that's
just
what I
wasn't their
believed
time.
at the time. I don't know. I sometimes wonder, is it too much of... when you have a press that's larger than others and you get more chance to expose your team, it just shows the flaws in your system when you end up losing, because who are we supposed to believe?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, if you were gambling
and
you gambled for this, nobody's winning money. Unless you bet in the Netherlands.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And you could be there. But speaking of money, I want to get on to our next subject here, bro, and you know what that is. We're talking about the problem with money and the NFL running back situation.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Do you know that right now that Dalvin Cook does not have a job as we speak?
And Ezekiel Elliott.
And Josh Jacobs is not in camp. Okay? What do you think the issue is here, buddy?
Money. That's the short answer. The long answer is these running backs, or I should say, really, it starts from ownership management. They view running backs more and more as a disposable asset. They're like, these guys are only going to be effective to like 25 is like the
27.
27.
Okay, the analytics.
Sure.
From our good friend Mina Kimes brought up analytics. I jumped in TV and said, hey, Mina, shut up. All the running backs must have hated her when she said it. But
she's stating facts. This is the way it's going right now. But I mean, the problem is these guys are not being paid their fair worth. When especially early on in their careers, they are carrying a lot of these teams.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, so now let's look at the evolution of my life in here, which is the great juxtaposition between you and I and how long we've been watching football. So I'm a football junkie for 50 years now, right? Do you know one time in my life that it was more important for you to have a great running back than a great quarterback?
Yeah.
In my lifetime. It was more like if you had
when that shift, like the 70s?
Oh no, I'd say later. I started in the 90s.
90s.
I'd say in the 90s because back then you had the Earl Campbells, you had the Roger Craigs. Now, what I'm thinking is this. What has happened is because the game has evolved, the evolution of the game, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so now I don't understand this. If you go back to, say, 2000, you wouldn't catch a cornerback making the same money as a running back on that level. But what's his name? Ramsey, who went to Miami, he makes way more money than Saquon Barkley. Now, once upon a time, that would be absolutely ludicrous for me even to say that. They'd say, what do you know? But here's what the evolution of the game has done. Don't you agree with me? Every time we're watching these goddamn football games, all we ever hear when the playoffs comes, they say two things, don't they? Got to stop the run. You got to run the football.
Yeah.
How do you run the football without a good running back? Okay, can you help me out with this?
That's the confusing part. I mean, have you seen the franchise tag values by
Oh,
position
that's
this year?
the one I'm saying. It's dropped inordinately in 20 years. The worst position in football is the running back and the franchise tag number.
Yeah.
It has moved what? 3/4 and a glass of Kool-Aid?
So
where the cornerback has come up and surpassed them. That's why I brought up the cornerback.
Yes.
Isn't it now
Yes.
the franchise tag on a quarterback is
So-
larger than a franchise tag on a running back.
So the running back is the second lowest position by franchise tag in terms of value.
What's the other one? Linebacker?
ST, what's that supposed to be?
ST? Strong safety? No. ST, is that like special teams?
Maybe special teams.
Yeah, special teams guys get more?
Yeah. No, the less. They're the only position that's less.
Yeah, special teams.
So-
what does that
So
tell
we
you?
go quarterback, that's 32.5. Linebacker, about 21.
They're the second most?
Yes.
So wide receivers.
Wide receiver,
And then
just
O-lineman.
under 20. Defensive end, defensive tackle, O-line, cornerback, safety, tight end, running back.
Sounds like white men in society.
And running back is a hair over 10 mil.
I know that's just crazy.
A third of what quarterbacks.
But you know what's rising up
make.
even more though, and which is interesting. Funny you brought that up because I've seen some people talking about it. You know who's been going up the fastest, and it will increase in the next couple of years, is O-linemen. They've had the most increase since 2020, and running backs have gone on. Don't you think that's a little bit oxymoronic now?
It is.
Okay, but
since their fates are tied more than any other position, you could argue.
Oh, they're always saying, well, because the O-linemen are so important because they keep the quarterback on his feet.
Yeah.
They're saying, but at the same time. So let's just delve into a little.
No, but you also need to build those pockets for the running back.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
Right?
I don't know a team that did not win. Did not win. Like, look at even last year. Now, here's the great thing that screws it up. Is anyone talking about Isaiah Pacheco?
No.
Why shouldn't they be? He's a Super Bowl champion now.
Should be.
Exactly. And I might even target him in my fantasy football league this year. Because he may be a player that I may get onto. But let's just look at the ratings of the top 10 quarterbacks right now and see what we got. Christian McCaffrey, he's already got his money. He's fine. He's considered the number one right now.
Yeah.
We'll give him credit. Okay for that. Number 2 is Austin Eckler because he's about to do something that nobody's ever done in the history of football as a running back and might have a total touchdowns from yard of scrimmage leader for the 3rd year in a row. Because he's out of the backfield kind of guy.
Right.
But he's at his max right now, okay? And, so we'll give him that. And he's not even – if he was in the 70s, he would be I don't know how you would call him, like the 3rd down back.
Okay.
Because he'd be out of the field and going that. But we'll give him his money. Number 3, quarterback considered, Josh Jacobs. He's not even in camp. He just say, they didn't even give him.
take him.
Okay, now here's what I think is real sleazy about the frickin' Oakland Raiders, okay? They couldn't give him his 50-year option.
Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders.
Okay, sorry. Anyway, they're still sleazy. Let's just talk about this, okay? They declined his 50-year option. They must have knew what they were doing because they gave him 340 touches last year. That means you're beating your horse into the ground because you're not going to pay him the money anyway. So that's scummy.
That's scum. Yeah.
Don't you think so?
scummy,
As soon as I seen that number, you figured out you're going to either give the guy his 50-year option or you're not. So you don't give the guy his 50-year option, but you run him in and try to run him into the ground. That's real nice, Raiders. I'm going to keep that on my radar when I'm thinking about signing with you guys as a free agent. Eat my shorts, you schmucks. Serge, you heard that? I wish Serge walked in right now so he could hear that being the Raider number is. Okay, let's see what else. We've got Derrick Henry.
Oh, yes.
King Henry. Okay, wouldn't you say that he's been the best running back in the league last year? Okay, He's been in the league 7 years now.
Arguably, like the last 5 years.
Okay, for the last 5
years.
Okay, so how old is he now? 7 years in, he came in 22, so he's over that magic number of 27. Derrick Henry has already said he's under contract. He got a good. He's the last guy with the big money.
Yes, he did.
Okay, him and one other guy who I'm going to bring up at the end of this, who really wrecked it for everybody, and it's not his fault, but I'll get there in a second.
Oh shit.
Derrick Henry is already on record as saying he does not expect to get paid. Okay, he does not. He said this is it. We're going to go if he gets cut next year. Like he had a little bit of injury problems. He still played 16 games. The guy they said they said he still had a down year and he rushed for 1,500 yards.
Yeah.
I want to have that down year. Okay, let's continue now. Number 5 on the list, and I think he's number 1, Nick Chubb. Very good. Okay. And I love the comment when they said everybody talked about quarterbacks in Cleveland at the beginning of last year because they didn't know what the hell they were doing. Okay, because they had Deshaun the Whoremaster coming. All right. But anyway,
who's here now?
Okay, all he did was rush for 1,500 yards and give us 12, 14, 15 touchdowns. He took the pressure off quarterbacks a lot of times because he was there and had a decent O-line.
Indeed.
His contract is coming up next year because they already gave him one of those in-between contracts as a rookie. Yeah. They already signed him quick, which is the sneaky thing to do, like in hockey. Sign him now to get the bridge contract. So he got a bridge contract. So I'm not saying he's getting his full value, but I think his agent said, see the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
Take your money. Okay, who's next? Number 6, Saquon Barkley.
Oh.
You can put him anywhere you want. Some people say he's there. He signed $100,000 more than his cap. Why? So he go to training camp? Nobody wants to be Le'Veon Bell.
No.
Okay, so that's another dilemma.
That's one of the biggest blunders you want to say, like in recent history with the
Okay, and
contracts.
The other one I'm going to bring up yet, I hope you figured out by the time we get there, what's really screwed up quarterbacks is, number 1, Le'Veon Bell. He went out the door, never got his money, should have taken the money, he lost all that money, and then not only he was just down the downside, never had a good year with the Jets, didn't know the system. Now he lost, they say he lost, if you even aside the 2 contracts with Pittsburgh, he lost about $20 million in the deal, about $20 million guaranteed. And it just so happened that when it happened, what you hear all the time with interchangeable parts, Pittsburgh drops Najee Harris.
Yeah.
Who just stepped into the role, who's now into his 3rd year, had a minor injury problem, and he's already thinking, am I going to get paid? Yeah. So he's in trouble. We don't even know what he's going to do, but he's got to go out there today. Is Pittsburgh going to run him into the ground if they need him this year?
Of course they will.
Of course they will. Okay, so let's just move along here. Number 7, Dalvin Cook, who's only had 4 years of about 14 to 1,500 yards, averaging 12 touchdowns. Oh, another good thing about him, he blocks and catches out of the backfield. Where is he right now? Not signed.
Insane. This is insane.
Okay, just think about that. He's not even.
How does Dalvin Cook go from like a guy who like everyone's taking like first
4-time
round in their
Pro Bowl?
fantasy?
Okay, 4-time Pro Bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, now we want to get to number 10. I'm going to ask a couple questions about this. We want to go top 10, but there's Dalvin Cook. I thought he'd be signed by this show, and when Aaron Rodgers. I love that, Mrs. Milani. Aaron Rodgers restructured his contract to save $35 million.
Yeah.
I thought Dalvin Cook would come flying in. Is that because he wants more money now than he should? Because a couple running backs, I don't have the name, we'll figure out in a minute, have signed for 1 year.
Yeah.
A couple guys, including Saquon. He's only signed for 1 year. So what's going to happen with Dalvin Cook? I'm going to tell you this, and this is a very pertinent thing that people don't even realize, okay? You need reps at training camp to get in shape. Not everybody's Emmitt Smith. Remember, it takes you a while to get going. You know what I mean? Remember Ezekiel? It took him a couple games to get going when he sat out training camp. They call it training camp for a reason.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know what I mean? So first of all, then you got to learn the system. Now they say there's only 7 degrees of systems in every team, in all the offenses.
Still, but there's some nuances in there you want to be able to figure out, right?
Thank you. So Dalvin Cook's not even signed, okay? Next, Aaron Jones of the Green Bay Packers, who's in his 6th year, who signed a bridge contract. So I think that he's probably going to play this year and the next year. If they buy him out, will you be shocked?
Probably not.
He's making about 11. I forget what his money is. He's making decent money, but let's just look last year. He rushed for 1,100 yards and caught 59 passes.
Not bad.
Now, here's another little thing they bring up all the time, too, is like, what is your fumble rate? That's interesting they bring that up. Some of the best guys like Chubb have had 1 fumble. Saquon Barkley had only 0 fumbles. But then you get our guy Dalvin Cook. He had 5 or 6 last. Aaron Jones, 3 or 4 last. Now, here is the guy. now that we've got Aaron Jones, he's at a bridge contract too. Now, here's the guy that's going to make your team. How are they going to handle this guy? Ramondre Stevenson for the New England Patriots.
Oh, yes.
This is only his second year. And you know they had a little bit of committee by running back in New England because James White took all the third down things.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's been like that ever since I can remember in New England. Yeah.
Which is good there. Yeah. But it just so happens that this guy had a 5.5 yards per carry.
He was very impressive last year.
Okay, so now, because we'll get to him and number 10, who's Miles Sanders for the for Philadelphia, and I think this is the end of his contract, so I think they're going to sign him out. And Travis Etienne, we should bring him up at number 11 because he's going to be like Stevenson. What do you think these guys are going to make? Because they're now they're both second-year guys. Yeah. Okay, so they have those 5-year things on them when they come into the league, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
So what are these guys? These guys are in running back jail, don't you think?
Of course.
So
that's the whole issue.
Okay, so now
when they should be making their money, they're kind of stuck in these entry-level deals.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to say about this. Okay, the real problem is their college careers.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Okay, the reason I say this, I'm going to go back to the days of, I'm going to say, let's from a historical point of view, because I think it's the most obvious. You know who Earl Campbell is?
Sure.
Earl Campbell, for about 6 seasons, was an invincible source, okay? Do you know for 4 years in Texas that he had 300 carries a year?
Holy.
Okay. I think it was something like that. 240 in his first year, next 300, whatever.
And this is the college season, which is shorter.
Well, exactly.
Which is
even more insane. Which was in the at that time back in the 70s, early 80s, was the Big 12, whatever. Big conference because it had Nebraska, Oklahoma, Texas Tech.
Yeah, Big 12.
Yeah. It was a big conference. He had about 6 good years in the NFL where he rushed for 1,500 yards, 1,800 yards, almost 2,000. The famous thing where his shirt got ripped because he kept going through the guys, legs the size of oak trees. Wore down. By the time he was 30, went to New Orleans, and Bum Phelps couldn't even run anymore. Do you know what? They just got some new things where his knees got changed because he was showing up. He could finally stand again. Because what the real problem is, and it's not going to change because the collective bargaining agreement does not end until 2030. So guess what?
That's a blow.
So if you're going to keep having these contracts on then, you got to start paying the running backs earlier. But here's what I really heard. You must have heard about this week where all the running backs got together, had a Zoom call.
Yes, over a Zoom call, yes.
And they said they're going to change things. Where do you think that's going?
Where can they go?
Nowhere. It's the NFL. It's a monolith. Do you think the owners didn't start laughing?
Like, where are these guys going to start like their own league or something?
Or start their own union within a union? Come on.
That's the talk. I've heard that. The
come
running
on.
back union.
I love running backs. It's my favorite position in football. I love Tony Dorsett. I love Billy Sims. I love Barry Sanders. I love Walter Payton. I love Roger Craig. I love O.J. Simpson. Okay, but
don't say that too loud.
Okay, but in any event, I'm just saying that you know what I'm getting at. You know what I love running backs. So the contracts are not going to change. So the NFL owners must have sat in there, lit up cigars, and goes,
"Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Next.
Yeah.
Next. Like, this is the monolith. This is the NFL. These guys control it. This is the next best thing to slave trade. Lord Simcoe, can you come back and help out the NFL running backs? Because what they're going to have to do is change when they come into the league. Because when you come into the league and you have this much of a contract, that's complete control by the owners who have a free minor league system with the colleges.
Oh, yeah.
So what do we got here? We got, nothing's going to happen, guys. I feel bad for you. The Marshawn Lynch, Adrian Peterson's, all done. But here's my punchline. You know the guy that killed it, and I thought you'd bring it up, who killed it for all running backs, and he was great? Todd Gurley.
Yes. Yeah, I've heard his name thrown around a couple times these last few weeks.
He can't help it if he had a degenerative knee. He signed the contract. He looked like the next big guy. All of a sudden, he had a degenerative knee. He still got $40 million because of his money there, and he hasn't played what? And you know,
it's been a few years.
You know, he's only 30 years old right now, I believe, or 31. He's not even that old. So when you got in your little group chat there, running backs, I'm sure Todd Gurley came up. Here's another kid.
Yeah, it had to.
All you guys that are under 6 feet, you guys came up. You know what I mean? Why? Because none of his last 5 years. Hence the reason, God bless you, from Alabama, playing for my beloved Detroit Lions, first-round pick.
Yep.
I'm not taking him in the top 10 of my fantasy league because it's a keeper league, and how long is he going to last? Does that make me a hypocrite?
Of course not. You're standing by your moral. I mean, he's on your team, which makes it a lot more difficult. I can relate to that.
You know what? He's going to stare me in the face the fantasy draft. I made a trade, and he's gonna be staring me in the face. Everyone's gonna say, "Hey, you should have drafted him."
Late first round, maybe.
Okay, in the first round. You know who I took the last time when I had this pressure to do it? I took DeAndre Swift. Where is he now? He's the sneakiest running back in the league because you knew Detroit wasn't going to pay him. That's why they had this guy on the draft pick to take. He went to Philadelphia. When we do our pre-football show, I'm going to say this: he will be the sneaky fantasy pick of the year. DeAndre Swift for Philadelphia. He's perfect for their offense.
Okay.
You heard it here first. In any event,
I like that pickup for them.
Yes.
One last thing I want to ask you about this is, will it take until 2030 to kind of solve this, or will it even get solved around that time?
The owners are going, Saquon, Dalvin, Josh, eat my shorts. No chance, bro. I think they're done until the collective bargaining agreement comes along.
No, but that's what I'm saying. When it comes to that time in 2030.
Oh, I think that there'll be an upswing where they're going to running back. Someone's going to have to stick up for him because here's
the
what
union.
Here, or the union, yeah. So they have to stick up for him. But here's what's always going to happen: you have to have a clever coach. Like, look what Saquon Barkley's difference on the New York Giants last year. He is the reason.
Oh yeah, that they were a good football team.
And they made Daniel Jones look better because of Saquon Barkley.
Sure.
Okay,
sure.
So what I'm saying is Miles Sanders was a better. Jalen Hurts was a better guy that went to the Super Bowl because of Miles Sanders. Philadelphia is so smart that they got a second guy. They called him DeAndre Swift. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. We're going to find out about Travis Etienne, second year in Jacksonville with what's his name, his quarterback. Oh, our first-round guy.
I know
the Clemson guy. I'm pulling a Charles Barkley again. We all nice hair.
Why am I blanking out his name too?
Okay, in any event,
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. He's going to make a difference for Trevor Lawrence because here's another thing that people don't want to talk about. Some of these backs have to block. So you want to talk about wear and tear?
Well, actually, there's talk of fullbacks making a comeback in the NFL now.
That's why I said someone to block for Tony Pollard in Dallas, and I think that it will make a comeback. But what that running back is going to have to do is be able to catch. So it's going to take a creative coach to but to reuse the running back position.
Yeah, touch it up a little bit.
No Super Bowl team hasn't won without a running back making any difference, and that's why I brought up Isaiah Pacheco, because he had a great run down the stretch for Kansas City. He looked good in the Super Bowl, and maybe there's a chance that we can bring the running back to prominence as I once viewed it as a kid growing up and still today. You know what I mean? Good luck running backs is all we're saying, correct?
Yeah. Since we're with the NFL, I want to ask you one more thing. You asked me a little query the other night, and it was not the answer you were looking for. Do you want to tell them what you asked me? I
can't remember which one.
So you asked me Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson. Who would I be?
Yes, we gotta get that. Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. Fans, listeners, the world. If you had a choice right now to cheer for Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson, who are you cheering for? I think that's a tough decision, don't you? And you're cheering for Aaron Rodgers.
No.
Okay, good.
I said, you gave me shit for cheering for saying Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, well, I you know what I mean? Because we're not saying nothing about...
Well, I'll just say, but like Aaron Rodgers, he's in my division now.
Okay.
I'm a Patriots fan. He's with the Jets. Jets and Patriots are no simpatico, so...
So what we're going to have to bring up, we're going to revisit this, and we're not going to answer it today. But I thought that was an interesting question. I asked the football guys at my work. They said, Cruz, stop it. Stop it. Come on, man.
I feel like I gave you the A-Rod experience where, like, you ask him a question, like, he thinks about it, like, gives you what you want to hear,
exactly.
And then ends up being the wrong answer anyways.
In any event, you know what we're going to do? And we're going to wait this till our preseason, not preseason, but our football preview show. One of our questions, we're going to mark it down today, and we both have to answer it, but we don't have to answer it today. Let's answer it this way. Who's going to have the better season? Deshaun Watson or Aaron Rodgers? Maybe that's the question.
I think that's an interesting question.
So we'll hold that. I'm going to write it down now until then. Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson, who has the better season? It's all dirt anyway.
Sure.
I just feel like we TMZ'd there for a moment, which I shouldn't even bring up. In any event.
Yeah, let's move on from America's powerhouse to America's pastime. MLB Trade Deadline happened just this week. Mets cleaning house.
There's so many interesting things to talk about baseball, but since we've only have a limited amount of time, let's go right to our number one thing because we're in Toronto.
Okay.
We're going to get to everything about the baseball, including Mr. Cohen's bailing on a whole lot of players and
On
what
two
he's
big
done.
names, especially.
Oh, yeah. Because I've got a theory behind that I've heard, which I agree with 100% is. But we have to talk about our beloved Toronto Blue Jays, who, thank God, went into Fenway Park this weekend and swept.
Hallelujah.
Oh, my God. After looking absolutely pathetic against the first place Baltimore Orioles, which just tells you this is a fraud. Now, wait a second. What was my theory at the beginning of the season about winning the division? What was my theory?
600 at home, 500 on the road.
Yes. And what did we just do? We lost 3 out of 4 at home and then swept on the road. This is why I'm having trouble with what I want to borrow the name from Aaron Rodgers is there's some fraudulent things about the Toronto Maple Leafs, buddy. Blue Jays, don't you think?
Oh, 100%.
And I'm
like
going to
we
keep the frauds on the Maple Leafs too.
We brought this up. What's the identity of this ball club?
What's going on in the dressing room is what I want to know.
That is a good question.
I want to know what is the feel in the dressing room.
I want to know, with Bo out of the lineup now, how that affects things.
Okay, first of all, I can get to that in a minute. I'm more worried about this. John Schneider, how do you put, if you're a manager, one of the things you're supposed to do is instill confidence in your players. How does he instill confidence in Espinal?
When he's not playing?
You bring a guy over who can't hit because you got Bo on the injured list. I get it.
Yeah.
And you stick him in there. What has he done with the hitting? Has he looked anything better defensively than we've already had?
No.
Hi, DeJong. Welcome to Toronto. You're going to love this. DeJong, go sit in the bench on Espinal there because he's been here longer and I think he should get more street cred than DeJong. How do you say it?
DeJong.
DeJong. Is he French?
Young.
Is he French?
I don't know. Does it matter?
Whatever. Nah. I can make fun of him better then.
Sure. The funny thing is the guy who's making more of an offensive impact this week is the call-up from the minors, Schneider. Home run in his first
at bat.
Was his first pitch too?
Yeah, no, I know it was first pitch. First at bat.
First at bat, yeah.
I love the dugout there. So there is room for the dugout, and he knew the home run thing coming in. That was just so cool. What I'm saying is this is where I'm saying we got a little divide with the Toronto Blue Jays right now because first of all I'm an MLB junkie, okay? So I hear what they're saying about all teams all the time, and they're talking about Toronto about 3 degrees away from the San Diego Padres.
Yeah.
And that's not good because both of them were considered to win their divisions. And you know, now I think that the Padres have flamed out, blowing it to the Dodgers this weekend the way they did. They flamed out. They're done. I'm not sure that they kept
the Dodgers have their own problems.
Agreed, but they flamed out now. I don't think San Diego has got any chance to do it. But let's get back to the Blue Jays. There's a couple other guys down in the minors that are hitting the ball off the cover. One of them was Schneider. I'd heard about him, and I forget the other guy. There's a third baseman down there. Down there. I forget his name. We'll get all the names later. But I heard...
It might be an option next year if Chapman goes to free agency, which could be a very real possibility.
Okay, we're going to talk about that in a minute, too, because Chapman does lead the league in doubles, and his defense... Okay, you know what I hate about Chapman, though, really quickly, is the guy's maybe the best defensive third baseman in the league, but when he makes an error, he makes it at the worst times. So people point that out to him. Oh, Cruz, you see Chapman the other night? No, but did you see the other 6 games where he covered up for Bo, or we went behind the bag and threw guys out? It just seems to be like it's like when I was talking about Djokovic in the final. It's when you make the unforced error. It just seems that Chapman's are more glaring.
Yeah,
I re-sign him. I hope we re-sign him.
I still think he's net positive.
Yes.
So
100%.
I'm just worried that like price is going to be the issue once winter comes around. But that's an issue for later.
Okay, we'll get that later. I don't give a shit. I'm talking about it right now. You signed the guy. We're MLSE or whatever. I mean, whatever
Rogers.
it is. We're Rogers, whatever case may be. You own them. Just pay the guy.
But does he want to? That's the problem.
He likes Toronto. He's got all good things to say. I say our problem, one of our biggest problems right now, and I get to admit, is Vladimir Guerrero. Mm-hmm. That's one of our biggest problems right there. The reason I want to talk about the dugout is because I'm looking about what's going on in the outfield out here, okay? And I'm going to say this. last year at this time, I was making fun of some of Lord Simcoe's defensive prowess. I would take his defensive prowess back right now for his bat.
His bat, yeah.
Okay, you know what I mean? Because I have not seen an exponential increase in our defense from the outfield for the value we got. And Kiermaier's, once again, he's coming back to life as a hitter. Even though we protect him, he may be the best number 9 hitter in American League.
Sure. I mean, his numbers have been pretty consistent, I would say. Like, he's been that kind of like 750 OPS, like, all year.
Okay,
From that number 9 hole, kind of that faux number 1, the way they use him, I think that's been very successful this year. So I would not complain about that.
About his batting average with RISP. It's atrocious. How many times has he had to just give us a little knock? I think we are bottom 5 at RSP.
He's the number 9 hitter.
Doesn't matter.
I think that's on the big boys that they can't get. Like, those are supposed to be our RBI producers.
Agreed, but hey, you know, if Vladdy's our runner in scoring position isn't bad, Bose isn't bad.
It's not exactly great.
No, but I mean they're middle of the pack to above, which is what you want every team. Now let's talk about Springers.
He's been bad.
About Chapman's.
Yeah, he's been bad.
Okay, you know what I mean? All these guys that are supposed to be our big hitters.
And those are like, again, like two of the guys, like maybe less so Bo and Vlad, but like, you know, the Springers, the Chapmans, those are guys you got to look to like, hey, bud, we need that run in.
Okay, I agree, but every once in a while you got to get a hit too. Like Kirk hitting his 2 home runs last week, and Kurt's bat's coming around, which is another
we'll
thing.
See.
I'm not confident in it, but here's the thing that really...
I like Jansen a lot more. I sent you that picture of Jansen's stats over the last 162.
Hitting 220, though. Okay, that's the only problem I have. Is his batting average even like over that period of time?
Yeah, but what's his OPS is like well over 800 over that stretch.
It's just over, isn't it? I'm not saying it's not bad, but here's the problem with Jansen is, where is he right now?
What, like in the lineup?
No, on the bench. Another nagging injury. He got nicked or something. I love you, Danny Jansen. I love the guy. We were on this show saying that he should be the number one catcher. And where is he now? With another nicked up injury. How many?
Okay. So Jansen's got a 549 slugging, 5th in the AL over that stretch.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What was his batting average?
Doesn't say on here, but 37 home runs, 110 RBIs.
That's
the middle of the lineup bat, even with a low batting average. I'll take those numbers. You know what, he walks, and I'll take
I'll take that to it. I'll take that with his handling of the pitchers and his defense.
Sure.
He added it all up, so I just want to say that about it. But the thing is, where is he now? He hasn't played all weekend. Why? Because another nagging injury. The guy, your best availability, what is it? Your best ability is availability or whatever the hell they say. And I'm worried about that going down the stretch. Is he going to be okay? Who else do we have in the minors? We got nobody.
No, for catchers, it's those two guys, basically.
I think Espinal is our 3rd string catcher, isn't it? Someone on the bench.
Well, he's not playing, so maybe they'll use him a bit there.
Maybe we do, though. But, I mean, because every team says, they write, who's the guy going to catch if you had 2 injuries in a game?
Yeah.
I think Espinal
I think they go down to, like, their 5th. If like for like real emergencies, like because they have to, but I don't think we're ever going to see a situation like that. But.
I hope we don't. I'm hoping we're not. So I'm going to say this: we've been saying all this time that we believe that the Toronto Blue Jays were not going to make the playoffs. Okay, so
I think they're going to backdoor their way in.
That's the definitive word. Is the backdoor in, because so many other teams are terrible. Just absolutely terrible. But I want to get on.
I wouldn't say terrible. I'd just say
my prediction.
Like unremarkable.
Okay, I'm going to
There's a lot of unremarkable teams.
I'm going to get back on some things in a couple of seconds that I said earlier in the shows that I'm going to be able to justify, and I'm going to point this out to you. But the main thing is this: is that what Toronto has done is I really think that we should have got Montgomery at the trade deadline, but we got Hicks. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I think we've done is we've revamped the bullpen to be playoff ready, because you got to have the fireballers and come out in a whole bunch of arms.
Yeah.
If you have looked on the weekend, it's starting to, something else that I said may have happened is Swanson picked up his 4th save. I've said since the beginning of the season that I thought Swanson would be there. I don't think he's been used wisely enough, and a couple of times he's got hung out to dry.
I don't think he's going to be, I'm starting to not think he's going to be the closer by the end of the season. It's like
Hicks is too erratic. Why do you think St. Louis let him go? The guy can throw 106.
No, I understand that.
So you want him as our solid go to the bank closer?
No, but I'm saying it's going to stay with Romano.
Isn't that some kind of pasta? Oh no, he's our closer.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyways, let's get to.
I was going to say, like, even like you look at his save numbers, he hasn't blown a lot of saves.
Who?
Romano.
No, he's only had 3. Okay, but a couple times he's been sketchy out there with them. He's come in and he's walked off the field with the bases loaded.
But I think he's done, and stay with me with this one, I think he's done well enough to keep the job. Nothing, at least from like management's perspective, where they're like, well, we can't take away the job from him when he's given us,
I don't think he's going to lose the job. I'm just think that they should use him more selectively when we have Swanson and we have Hicks. I think the more impressive guy from St. Louis has been this Cabrera kid.
Yes.
He has been really good. He is the guy that he smells like a closer already. But leave him in that role, because what I'm trying to get at is, Schneider, define the roles of the bullpen now. You've got 6 weeks left.
Who's your seventh inning guy? Who's your eighth inning guy?
Define this now, because what I'm going to only say is this, and the elephant in the room, which we haven't even brought up yet, is I'm going there now, is what's up with the 6-man rotation?
I mean, I'm fine with that.
Because you're a kid. Stop it. It's just we're soft.
Well, who are you going to take? Because
we're not going to go there.
Ryu's back, so
he
you want to use
him. He didn't look great.
Well, he's just come back. You want to get him some innings. Want to see if you're going to be able to use him for postseason.
Got 5 more. Okay, so I'm going to say this. We do this 4 rotations. Just like we brought Manoah back quicker, because Manoah looked great on Friday night.
Yes.
He looked good. So I'm saying, and his weight's down. You notice every time I see him, it looks like he took a couple more ounces off.
Yeah, that's good.
His velocity is there. Okay, all his pitches are there. It's just the control's issue.
Been an issue, yeah.
So we'll get his control down. I still say Bassett's a goddamn head case. The best 11-game winner in baseball. Who's a head case? You don't know what's going to happen with the guy.
He's the only guy with a complete game shutout, nonetheless.
What did he do yesterday? Everything went his way. He was a good little girlfriend. She didn't pull a panic in the bar. She didn't spill something on her drink.
Why do you got to go there?
Okay, I don't mean... That happens, fans. I'm trying not to go there. However, come on, look at the guy. Look at Kirk holds his hand to start the game. They run out to the dugout. He's the only pitcher. We got to hold his hands. Let's check the fax notes. Is the communication going well? Look at the guy. He's pitched great. He's got good stuff. I'm glad we got him. But there's something we got to fine tune. You want that guy in the game 7? If he's starting game 7 we're in the playoffs now. Best of 3. He's starting game 3. I'm nervous because who's going to start the first game? It's going to be Barrios and Gozman.
Yeah, Barrios and Gozman are
okay. They're going to be the first game. Now we go to game 3, and Bassett's our closer in game. Are you confident in that, Mr. Mullany, right now that we're going to win that game? And he's already won 15 games.
Depends who the other team's starter is.
You know what? This guy gives the best answers of that telling the truth, but they work for the moment that we're in. Mama, you taught your son well. Okay, so what's going to happen here? I'm going to tell you what the great thing is about the 6-man rotation. Garcia's looking a little bit better. Romano's out for a while. And Trevor Richards, who's played relatively well, he's on a 10-day. Which means, you know what they're doing? They're resting these guys, because all the 6-man rotation has done is this. It's saving your arms. Because here's what's going to happen, and I said this early in the year. Let's go back to start looking at the quality starts will win you a division. Oh, my God. The Baltimore Orioles are making a fool out of me in this way. First of all, I'd said that their pitching wouldn't last this long. Now they're in the American League moving up on quality starts. Okay, now let's go to the other team that I said is going to get hurt, the Tampa Bay Rays. If the Tampa Bay Rays don't tighten it up, they're going to miss the playoffs because they had that huge start.
They're going to make the playoffs.
No. You know why? Because all their arms are falling off. Because here's my punchline.
They're only 3 games back of first for the American League. You know
they
that, right?
ain't getting a sniff of the first place again. They're done. You know why? Because all of their arms fell off. I know you had a bunch of guys that are coming back, Glasnow and what's his name?
Glasnow, yeah.
Okay, but guess what? They've never had 5 proper starters the whole year. They've had all those stupid bullpen games. Hey, Red Sox, how did the bullpen game start yesterday? That went well, didn't you? Didn't you have a position player throwing pitches in the 9th inning? Why? Because you all threw your arms off. So I will give Toronto this, because I do believe everything's coming out of the GM, not Schneider. I think Schneider's he's not getting used enough. Like they call in, take him out, or whatever the case may be. So if the Jays are going to use this 6-game rotation to rest arms going into the playoffs, I think
that's what's going to be.
But when we need that game here late in the month, we're going to take starts away from Gozman? Gozman doesn't look like he's tired. Barrios doesn't look like he's tired. But if you're going to take it away, I'll give you the benefit of a doubt.
We'll see. We'll see. That's a conversation for like 2 weeks left in the season.
So what is your position on the Toronto Blue Jays right now? You're saying they're going to back into the playoffs?
Yeah, they'll find a way in.
Okay.
As like the second, most likely third wild card, they'd be playing probably.
Right now we're playing Houston.
Probably no, but the good
Or
thing
Minnesota.
is yeah, that's the good thing. You'd be playing Minnesota.
Really?
That third wild card isn't so bad. Are you scared of the Twins?
If we got to play 2 games in their house with their 2 main starters going first, because what's got Minnesota here is their pitching, and we're not the greatest hitting team on some days.
And neither are they.
And yeah, but guess what? If their pitching's a tad better than us, we go home. And they've defined their staff, and they've decided their closer, and they've defined their bullpen. Okay, now I'm saying that they've been using them a little bit too much, so maybe their arms will fall off by September. So
they have to win the division.
Oh, they're not getting in at all. And I think that Cleveland, who is still breathing down their neck, are not going to get there.
No.
4 games under 500 right now.
Big red flag.
They're done. So I think Minnesota's going to chase the division down. They're going to win. But I'm saying in those series, and historically speaking, Minnesota has always made the move in the past on playoffs because of their pitching. You know what I mean? So
but we've also seen the Twins barely miss out on playoff spots too recently. So it goes both ways.
Their defense is pretty solid too. So they're well-coached teams at times. So the question is, when we go into the playoffs in the wild card, which we are right now, who would you rather be in the first round? You're saying you'd rather play Minnesota than Houston.
Yeah.
Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah.
Can Houston chase down
Texas?
Yes.
It's possible, though unlikely, I would say, at this stage.
They got to play each other 7 more times, I believe.
They got to capitalize on those games.
Okay, 7 times. So 7 times with their experience, only 3 games in the loss column. Yeah. I think we should save this discussion till we get to the end. Because one of the things that's really irritated me about this whole situation is when they changed this year's about having less division games, what do you think that has proven?
Well, it makes those division games all the more important now, don't you think?
I just says it shows that the American League is that good because the New York Yankees are in last place, but if they were in the American League Central, they'd be in first place.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, does that just prove that the American League East is that much of a juggernaut? Because all those extra games they played against other teams, they seem to have won, which here's my hook. Tampa Bay going home. They won all those games. Let's go back to the first 20 games of the year. Who did they play? Oakland, Kansas City, Detroit, Chicago White Sox.
Yeah.
Okay, and you know what? I give Tampa Bay credit for this. They came out of the block steady. The Jays didn't, the Yankees didn't, Sox didn't. We all had our little issues going on. But Tampa Bay came out of the box firing on all cylinders. They won those games. They raced ahead. Now that comes all the way around, and now that they got to play everybody else, it's starting to even out because we've suddenly won some games. Now, if we just played 500 in the American League East, we'd be in first place right now, bro.
Yeah,
we would be in first place, and that's all I asked, right? 600 at home, 500 in the division, 500 on the road. Yep. And what did it get us? We're still not in the playoffs. Because do you think the Yankees are dead yet?
We're in the playoffs.
I mean, but you think the Yankees are dead yet? You know the team that scares me the most?
Yeah, Yankees are losing their legs fast, I would say.
So the only team that scares me out of the crew is the Seattle Mariners. And what did they do to us last year?
You don't need to remind me.
Okay, so there you go. So I'm saying, look at the Mariners.
They're 2.5 games back of the Jays for that final wild card spot.
They're 8 games over 500, and they're just sniffing the.
Though they gave away their closer.
What's that?
Didn't they trade away their closer?
Yeah, they had 3 guys. Okay. I looked at their stats. They had 3 guys that could have done that. They traded a Romano.
Okay.
Well, nothing against Romano.
Still, that's a good bullpen arm that you're getting rid of.
But that's why I'm saying about the Blue Jays. I think that we have the pen together, and if we are saving arms, that is good. So right now, I'm going to say that they're going to back in. I don't think that the Yankees are going to be there.
No.
They jumped ahead of Boston because of us. But don't you think the law of averages said we got to win some? I expected 2 or 3 wins.
Sure. Boston, they should be in last place. Let's be real. They're the weakest team in this division, not even close.
Okay, and I agree with you. But what really irritated me is I thought that we should have taken 3 or 4 from Baltimore instead of losing 3 or 4 to Baltimore.
I don't. I
Gunnar,
don't want to talk about that. When
Gunnar Henderson, Rookie of the Year.
Sorry,
Gunnar at the third baseman. Is he Rookie of the Year?
Most likely.
He's got to be. He looks like a 10-year old school shoes nail guy. You know what? Same with what's his name? Rushman looks. Oh, they look solid. Great. Oh, and by the way, Baltimore has played second and third base, the same guy for what is it, 90% or 95% of the time as a first base team. They are now moving up on the quality start stat in their division. Mr. Milani, I think you sent me a text that said, "What about this quality start thing, Cruz?" Where are we at now? We'll discuss that at the end
Well, the
of this
Jays are up there
season.
in quality starts, and I mean, they're just barely hanging on.
Oh, and so is Minnesota, is one of the top teams with quality start. Oh, and then Texas Rangers, one of the top teams with quality start. So I'm not saying it's a big deal, analytics people, but where's the Tampa Bay Rays? When they miss the
middle of the pack,
playoffs,
aren't they?
Yeah, if that. You know what I mean?
They're mid. They're mid.
I'm saying the Seattle guys are going to sneak in the back door and
take what, the Houston spot?
No, take the Tampa Bay spot.
Whoa!
Heard it here first, and now as that happens, that I'm saying. Oh, by the way, in the East, I really want to say one thing. Steve, the New York Mets, when they had the sale this season, you know what he's just doing? Buying players. He bought prospects. Yeah. You know, he took the $35 million off Verlander's contract, $20 million off Scherzer, but 3 or 4 of these guys that he got in the trade, they're 18 to 21, buddy.
Oh, wow.
That's what I said. What? He spent $45 million buying 18 to 21-year-olds.
If that isn't shrewd business, then I don't know what is.
Why do you think the guy's a billionaire?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, and so I just want to say, in those big rich teams, San Diego, goodbye.
Yeah, fare thee well to San Diego.
Okay, I think that Mr. Milani's put in a lot in this show, and I maybe have talked a little bit too much, but he gives me the opportunity. One more thing?
I got one more thing.
Sure.
So there was a big hockey trade that went down yesterday. Are you aware of this?
Karlsson to the Pittsburgh Penguins.
That is correct. And,
isn't that your buddy? Didn't your buddy make the trade?
He did make
the guy
trade.
that you farmed out of town.
I farmed him out. Yes, I personally fired him. Yes.
I'm not saying that much, but I'm calling you out on this because guess what? What did the Penguins need?
They need a lot.
Okay, but I'm still saying they've still got that front. Is this their last
last
dance?
Yeah, they got to get done like the next year or two.
Oh, no, I say next season better be exponentially better, playoff-made contenders.
Yeah, that's why next year you got to show some serious steps, but like championship, I'm saying it's like these next 2 years are
none. And
yeah.
I'm saying that Pittsburgh had some injury problems, some little bit of lineup problems that you could
But Crosby
tweak.
and Malkin played all 82 games this past year.
And they both had amazing seasons. They didn't have the support they did. And what did they need? They needed a defenseman. They bring the puck out to get him more.
Yeah.
They just got Karlsson. I'm going to say this. If they make the biggest jump in the league, I wouldn't be surprised.
They play in a tough division. That's the thing.
Oh, and the only other team that's going to make that big of a jump, because we know what we do here in the house that happens. We keep tabs on the Habs. The Pittsburgh Penguins and the Montreal Canadiens will be the biggest jumps in the NHL.
So Montreal was involved in this trade for Karlsson, as you probably know at this point.
Yes, I'm glad that you brought that up.
So they get so as this part of this trade, they trade Rem Pitlick to Pittsburgh. They trade Mike Hoffman to San Jose. And they receive Casey DeSmith, Nathan Legare, I believe he's a prospect, a Pittsburgh second-round pick in 2025, and Jeff Petrie with 25% salary retained. So Jeff Petrie's a Hab again.
Guess what? You ain't going to see the ice.
Whoa, that's a hot take.
I don't think he'll see the ice.
I think you're wrong there, but...
He'll look good back in a Hab jersey. I've always liked him. I didn't want to see him go away. But do you think he's going to make it? He's got injury issues. He's
they're
pushing
paying him that much. I think he's on the team. What? He played how many games? He played 61 games last year with 31 points. I think he makes the Montreal lineup. I think it'd be
a good veteran presence for all the kids.
Exactly. I think that's why they acquired. I think that's the big reason why they acquired him. Put that A on his back on his sweater. You know, that kind of deal.
Control the dressing room.
Sure.
I always like Petrie. I'm glad he's back, to tell you the truth. But I
think he's a fine defenseman. Just like a little bit past his best.
Until it's opening day that I see him on the ice, I wouldn't be surprised. Made a deal to trade him to somebody else that might need a more veteran presence so our kids could play. That's all I'm saying. But if he starts the season okay, I'm saying I'm betting that he's not.
Fair enough. I want to ask you, so Rem Pitlick to Pittsburgh, how do you feel about him going out of town?
I'm more worried about the other guy that went to
Hoffman?
San Jose. Yeah, go with San Jose. I kind of went, we could have used him this year.
A good middle six scorer, somebody that could put on your second power play.
Yeah, I don't know how we're going to replace him. I thought he was going to be one of those, and we talked about this back when Montreal was doing things, like what we're doing with the salary cap and stuff. Is he a salary cap kind of dump?
Yeah, it definitely looks like that. I think that was a big reason because San Jose... They didn't want to retain that much salary for Pittsburgh, but at the same time, Pittsburgh couldn't take on that much more. So, like, moving that contract was like a big deal for
Dubas was in the room,
done.
man, with the numbers. You got to
course.
give him credit. He shifted those around, and he learned from your boy Prudhomme here in Toronto. He did some good shifting.
Sure.
I thought it was clever as hell.
I was going to say, though, with Hoffman getting shipped out of town, like, we were kind of talking before about how there's going to be a lot of competition for those top forward spots for the Habs. So I think this opens the door for, like, Slavkovsky to be a regular in that top 9.
Yep.
So
That's what I'm thinking is going to happen.
I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing for you guys. I think you're going to have to figure out what to do with Casey DeSmith. I think you're throwing him right to the minors and paying that little penalty there, but I don't think that's going to be that big
it's not
of a
going to
deal.
hurt us. Listen to him.
Let's see, Montreal
Look at him glorifying the Montreal Canadiens. I'm marking this on the wall.
So
everybody.
Montreal
this is great.
Montreal is 5.1 over the cap right now. So it's going to be... Actually, with guys they can send to the minors, it's not going to be that big of a squeeze.
No, I think they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
I was on a Montreal site, and they were saying that because there's also a question of how much is Carey Price on for us this year?
10.5.
Okay, but I think that they're going to try to do that. They haven't decided yet because Carey Price not playing.
Of course not. But what do you mean would decide to do what with him?
The same thing that Toronto doing with the Matt Murray contract.
Oh, 100% they're going to. That's what they did with him last year. But the thing is, you have to be cap compliant day one. So that 10.5 is going to count. Yeah. The good thing is you have a lot of players that are ineligible for waivers. So you could just send them down for free for October 1st, call them back up the next day.
Yeah. Okay, so we should be okay there. And I hope Carey Price is okay because I love the guy. I wish we'd see him in the uniform again, but I doubt if we will.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think cap-wise, Montreal is going to be okay for next season. Interesting trade. I mean, Pittsburgh had to go for it.
Yep.
And San Jose, I mean, not the greatest return for them, but I mean, given the contract, I don't think they had that much.
And given their situation, because they're 2 years away from 2 years away.
Exactly. Yeah, but they couldn't afford to be that picky. I mean, you got the first-round pick. You get Granlund and Hoffman, who at the very least, and Ruda, who are going to be some good players they can throw on your roster. Maybe get something at the deadline for them.
I just hope we're in the hunt. We'll have to see. Anyway, interesting. We never forget that. And we're still on the Nylander-Matthews watch, and nothing's happening.
I've heard rumors that there's some traction on his contract, so we'll see.
I wonder how his hair implants are working.
Hopefully better than they were, a few months ago? Also, we'd be remiss if we didn't give a little shout-out to Diana Taurasi.
Oh, yes. 100%. She just scored 10,000 points in the WNBA, and the question is she the greatest basketball player of all time? Some people say Cheryl Miller. Some people say Candace Parker.
Yep. She's in the conversation, though.
Oh, can I just read this off? Because when I got this, I just said, this is insane. And I'm going to start with the lowest of her accomplishments. She won 1 Turkish League championship.
Not a bad start.
Okay, got 10. She won 6 Euro championships.
Yes,
okay,
including a stretch of 4 in a row.
4 in a row. Okay. Oh, by the way, when she went slumming, she went to Russia and won 7 championships. Okay, 7. Now, here's the other thing, and I think this is the hardest one to win is the WNBA. I think that's the hardest one to win of all the women's things, and she won 3.
Yep.
And here's her coup de grace.
2-time Finals MVP as well.
And 2 times Finals MVP. Not only did she win 3 national championships and Player of the Year in Connecticut, she was responsible for being on 5 Olympic gold medal teams for the United States of America.
Insane.
No resume in the history of sports looks like that. Congratulations to Diana Taurasi here at the House That Happens. Taurasi. I'm going to vote for her and I love Cheryl Miller, but this girl may be the greatest. She's the GOAT. And I love Candace Parker. But this numbers are just incredible. Congratulations. Now go have some babies. Is that what she's wanted to do in her late age? She wanted to have another kid, I heard. I hope she does. It's a little old for her, but just saying a remarkable career here at the House That Happens. We cannot respect that more.
Yeah.
So at the end of the show, every once in a while, Mr. Milani gives me an opportunity to have a quick rant, and I want to do this because something came up this weekend, and I just want to bash these people because I'm not getting it anymore. So can I bring up a little thing that happens in every sports? It's called the Hall of Fame.
Go right ahead.
Can I start talking about this as the Hall of Shame? Can we cut to the chase here? We just had one of the favorite things of the weekend, the NFL. They have their whole show, and they have the 2023 inductees into the NFL, okay?
Yep.
And we bring them in, and we say, isn't this great? First of all, what really pissed me off this year is Scott Rowland played for the Toronto Blue Jays for 15 minutes. That guy's in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
Screw you, baseball. You guys don't even know what you're doing. You know, you had to have a committee because you screw up so badly. You had to have a committee because you didn't vote Jack Morris into the Hall of Fame to start with.
Oh, sure.
So then you had to have a veterans committee to make up for all those writers that hated Jack Morris so much that they couldn't bring him in. So you had to have a special committee just to say, you people are so stupid not to vote in Jack Morris, but you idiots brought in Scott Rowland.
Well, we were going to say...
Scott Rowland, Jack Morris, come on.
I was going to say, there is no group as spiteful as the baseball writers.
Okay, exactly. So now you had to have a whole another committee to bring in the guys that you pissed off all these years. So what kind of Hall of Fame? It's Hall of Shame. However, this year in the NFL, I had to say, okay, now I'm putting my foot down. Let's look at the inductees of this year's Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
DeMarcus Ware, 8 or 9 time Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
I'm digging that. Okay. I never seen Chuck Howley play, but he has a pretty good resume. I'm going to put him in there. Okay.
Okay.
If you didn't have Joe Thomas, first ballot Hall of Fame, whatever, you never watched football in your life. This guy, I'm drafting him first overall. The guy had, 10,000 something consecutive snaps? Joe Thomas.
Wow.
Okay, now this is where I get to get pissed off. Zach Thomas. Nice family. Played for a team I hated for. I would not vote for him to be a Hall of Famer. I'm sorry. Why? Just we bring him in because look at his numbers. He did this or that. I'm questionable about Zach Thomas. But what pisses me off is you voted in Ken Riley, the cornerback who used to play for Kansas City, who's now dead. And that guy was a Pro Bowler, and he should have been in there when he was alive. Okay? Mm-hmm. But here's the real thing that pisses me off. Joe Klecko made it from the sack exchange in New York. Gastineau was bigger at the time, if you want to look at it. So why did Joe Klecko get in backwards? Because here's what really pisses me off. You voted in Don Coryell, the Hall of Fame. What pisses me off is not that you voted him in. The man's been dead for 10 years. He should have been a first ballot Hall of Fame of what he's done for offense. Yeah. Back in the day, he was a guy, him and Steve Walsh are the ones that open up the game. He's one of the reasons why running backs are not worth the money that they are. He's the one that made an offensive explosion so all the kids can say, let's go to Madden. You know, all that thing, yeah. Like that kind of stuff. So how could you take this long to put Don Coryell in, but you voted in Zach Thomas the same year? I think it's an insult to Don Coryell. I think it's Zach Thomas. Congratulations that you made it. But what it's done for me is that I'm really starting to believe that when I see the Hall of Fame, I'm going to start calling it the Hall of Shame, because I think Zach Thomas is a Clark Gillies type entrance into the Hall of Fame. Yeah. And I said it. Clark Gillies shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame either. You know what I mean? Yeah. All you Islander schmucks out there. So in my opinion, I'm saying that what's going to happen in our lifetime is because the numbers have changed and analytics has changed how you look at things. There's going to be a lot of guys that get into the Hall of Fame in the next 10 years that I'm going to question at the same way that I question the Zach Thomases and the Scott Rowland. Yeah. And that's the gospel according to Cruz. Yeah. You know?
I mean, Hall of Fames are kind of a weird one. We kind of treat them like with one of the best takes I think that Brian Hayes ever had on Overdrive was that like the Hall of Fame, it's kind of like, you know, whatever. It's like treated like as the sacred thing, but really it's just like his line was like it's a hall with some plaques in it, you know?
Oh, you know what, Mr. Hayes? I hate to say that, but you've got a point here now because they've diluted.
Oh, of course.
They've diluted the things, so the greatness is, and maybe they should have different rooms. Because they say when you go to the
different tiers maybe or something.
As they said in the NFL Hall of Fame, they're already started to talk about that. There's NFL Hall of Famers, okay? But I think you look at Barry Sanders a little bit differently than you look at, say, what's the guy that played for New England and went to the Jets? Martin.
Oh,
Curtis Martin.
Right.
Okay, Curtis Martin, great back. Do you think of Curtis Martin the same way you look at Barry Sanders?
Oh, sure. It's the same as the Hockey Hall of Fame. Like Steve Yzerman and Dave Andreychuk are in there, but no one looks at those two the same way.
There you go. So we're going to separate it in there. In any event, this was a lot of fun. I hope you liked the Simcoe Day show. Is there anything else you'd like to bring to the table before we go, Mr. Mullaney?
That's about it. So that's it for you two?
I'm believing that it is. And so as we say, this is the house that happens. My name is Cruz.
And I'm Andrew Mullaney.
And you know that we keep the vibe alive.
You can find The House That Happens on Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Player FM, Samsung, Podchaser, Boomplay, YouTube, and SoundCloud. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at The House That Happens, and follow us on Twitter at House Happens. You can also shoot us an email at thehousethathappens@gmail.com.